few years ago, when I was at a really low point in my life, I remember looking up so many different methods to look better on YouTube and just the internet in general. And what I found is that every single creator basically just says the same information repeated over and over and over again. And now that I have 1 million subscribers, I thought I'd give my genuine advice that's actually completely different from anything you've probably heard before. By the end of this video, your confidence and the way you look is going to be levels ahead of where you were before. I'm also going to try to go in order to keep the most important tips at the end of the video. The first tip that I actually haven't seen anybody talk about ever in this space is something that I like to call awareness. I remember hanging out with my friends one day, and we were pretty much all just chilling together like anyone would do. And somebody was taking a Snapchat video on their phone, and I was in the video. When they sent that video to me, I remember looking at it and literally feeling like anxiety and like stress and like, why do I look this bad? That night, my stomach dropped because I felt like I looked so much worse than I actually thought in my head, or at least the way I looked in the mirror. After that happened, I remember going up to the mirror and kind of like looking at my face thinking like, yo, I didn't notice this, that, the other things. And basically what it made me realize is that anytime I see myself in a reflection, I adjust the way my face looks. And I was thinking to myself, am I the only one like this? And the answer is no, because anytime I ever see anybody get a picture taken of themselves, or they just see themselves in any other way that's not the mirror, they get really self-conscious most of the time. And in reality, this really just all comes down to something, like I said, called awareness. If you're wondering what this is, it's actually very simple. It's pretty much just reminding yourself that people can see you, and there are some things you can do to always make yourself look better. One example of having good awareness is standing up straight, so having good posture. If you've ever kind of had a hunched over back and you see yourself in a video or a photo like that, you're like, oh, like I need to straighten my back out. Now I could say this to you, but it's probably not going to make a difference unless you do the next thing I'm about to tell you, which is basically just finding something to give yourself a reminder. So anytime you're kind of slacking with like bad posture, mouth breathing, whatever the case may be, just think of something to remind yourself. I don't know why, but for me, it's wearing bracelets. Whenever I look down and see myself wearing a bracelet, it for some reason reminds me that like people can see me, and then I kind of like focus and like make sure that I'm not making some dumb face all the time and stuff like that. Speaking of bracelets, that's leading me on to tip number 2. I'm sure you hear all the time people talking about, oh, wear jewelry, this, that, the other. This is another one of those topics where I swear anytime I've ever looked up any YouTube video on how to look better, it tells me the same thing. Wear jewelry, accessorize, it's gonna make you look better. But one day, after sitting in my room watching one of those videos, I thought, that's not unique at all. That's something that everybody does. Like, how can I make this different? And the main thing I thought of is basically wearing something I like to call your signature pieces. It's one thing to wear accessories, and yes, it can make you look better, but when you have a certain list or a certain amount of jewelry or things that you wear on a regular basis, people will start remembering you for those things. When I was in high school, I actually started wearing this puka shell necklace just because I liked the way it looked. And people really started noticing me for that. So anytime I would post on social media, TikTok, Instagram, I'd always wear it and show it off. And this basically developed an association with me and I guess the beach, which then later on led me to releasing products like sea salt spray and things relating to me basically wearing a necklace like this. Now, I'm not saying you should get a puka shell necklace. I would actually argue this isn't even the most flashy or cool looking thing. It can actually make you look kind of weird, but I actually wear it now because this was one of the first things I used to make money. I sold these and I made my first $10,000 a month when I was like 16, 17. But yeah, now I decide to pretty much wear bracelets. Sometimes I wear this necklace, but I always kind of keep it the same. So now anytime I go in a room or anytime I go somewhere where with people I've been with before, they'll notice that I keep wearing this over and over, and they'll kind of associate what I'm wearing with me. So let's say you have a nice watch or you have a nice sort of piece of jewelry that you want people to associate you with. That's what you should be wearing. Now, a lot of you might have already thought about doing something like this, but tip number 3 is something you probably haven't considered at all, which is something I like to call the hair maxing guide. That's actually something I just kind of made up, but it is a real thing that I do. In every video that I see on the internet about like looking better, people do mention styling your hair. But what people don't mention is that there's certain hairstyles you should do based on the way that you look and based on the way you want people to perceive you. So I actually have different hairstyles based on the occasion that I'm going to. Right now, I kind of have this like really messy look, which is something I do whenever I'm making videos or maybe hang out with people my age. But let's say there was something like more special going on or something where you kind of have to dress up in something nice. My hairstyle is not going to look like this. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit and make it look very, I guess, defined and like not messy. And to do something like that, it really comes down to the hair products that you use. So this is my brand Simpletics. We are actually Amazon's choice on Amazon. Like literally Amazon says we have the best salt spray. And this is something I want to use if I want that messy look, because you spray it in, it makes your hair look wavy / kind of curly, beachy looking, which also matches the vibe of the jewelry that I wear. But if I want to switch things up, I actually have this hair clay. It's a Simpletics hair clay. It's unreleased. You can't even buy it right now. But then I'll scrunch crunch that into my hair and kind of make my hair look really defined and nice. But if you're not like me and you're not crazy and you don't have different hairstyles for different events and occasions and stuff like that, you need to use the hair maxing method like I mentioned before, which really is very simple. It comes down to finding your face shape, number one. Once you have your face shape, you can look up a haircut that fits that face shape or multiple haircuts that fit that face shape and basically rotate between the haircuts that you think look good on you and based on the event that you're going to or the things that you're doing. Now that's pretty simple, but something even more unique than that is tip number 4. And I know that nobody on the internet has been talking about this tip because, I mean, Prime is a drink that is very new and you're probably wondering, what could this guy be doing with a bottle of Prime? I want to say I'm not sponsored, but I should be after what I'm about to tell you. So many of you might have heard that salt or eating too much salt or bread or certain things like this could cause you to get bloated, which pretty much means your body is storing excess water in your face, body, whatever. It makes you look a little bit more fat, even though it's not fat. It's just water in your face or body. Now, one day I was sitting there drinking a Prime and I thought to myself, this has really good ingredients for debloating, aka making yourself look skinnier or just less fat. And when I was looking at the ingredients, I noticed that it has 700 milligrams of potassium. Now stick with me here because this is just really interesting to me. Salt, potassium, and magnesium are some core electrolytes that you need. Most people get more than enough salt in their diet, but something people miss out on their diet quite often is potassium. But this in fact has 700 milligrams, and when you balance out your electrolytes properly, what happens is you notice you start to debloat. You start to get skinnier in the body, the face, and it makes you so much more confident. I actually had 2 of these this morning. I'm on like a fast right now and I feel great, and when I looked in the mirror I was like, wow, my face looks like a little bit more defined than normal. Now, just so you know that I'm not biased, you could also do this with coconut water, but specifically the reason I go with Prime is because it has pretty much no calories. So it has 20 calories per bottle, and the new flavors they've been dropping, I really like the taste. The issue with coconut water is a lot of times they put sugar in it, which is like kind of crazy to me. It's like, why are you trying to trick people into drinking a healthy drink when you're putting sugar in it, whatever. And it actually doesn't debloat nearly as much as I noticed with Prime. Also, once again, since I'm not sponsored and just to prove it, you could also do this with Moss Plus. Moss Plus also has a very high amount of potassium, not as much as Prime, but it is similar. And although this might sound interesting, this is not as interesting as tip number 5. And guys, don't ask me where I'm coming up with this stuff. Maybe I legitimately am crazy. I don't know. But I always come up with the weirdest methods, and who else should I share it with other than you? You know what I mean? Subscribe if you understand me. For tip number 5, I'm gonna have to go to the phone camera, so just bear with me. Tip number 5 is switching your environment. I used to live in Virginia and I moved here to Brickell, Miami. It's way too loud out here, so let me go inside. So one of the main things I noticed when I lived in my hometown of Virginia is that there was no motivation to really do anything. Everybody was kind of just comfortable where they were. People weren't really fit, which sounds kind of funny, but like people here in Miami are literally jacked, rich, successful. Anytime I go in the street, I'm seeing supercars, I'm seeing people who are doing way better than me in life, and it's so inspiring. And honestly, let's be real here, there's many different reasons why you might want to look better or glow up, whether it's to get more girls, make more money, make more friends, literally anything, or maybe you're just self-conscious. So it really comes down to reminding yourself of the motivation. And to me, being in an environment like this does that for me. You can really do this without moving at all. By simply going to a new gym, meeting new people, making new friends, or just putting yourself in a different scenario than you're used to, it can make a huge difference and it could cause you to glow up. Okay, so tip number 6 is probably something you've never heard from a looks maxing creator, and I'm gonna sound very artsy when I say this. I'm gonna sound like your parent or something, I don't know, but something that really changed my life was being curious. Life can get very dull, boring. You might get caught up in the problems you have, and this happens to me, or at least it did a lot more than it does now, until I really started embracing my inner child. The things that I used to care about when I was younger, I started looking into. I mean, literally last night, I was up pretty much all night listening to podcasts about space and black holes and like planets and like our existence, which might sound dumb to you, but to someone like me, it really sparks curiosity, and you're probably wondering why this will make you glow. Well, I just want to say right now, intelligence is one of the most attractive things that you can have, period. Outside of the way you look, I would say this is one of the top 3 most important things. And when you're curious, you learn so much. You seek the truth. You try to watch videos like this one you're watching right here. You try to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to make this video if I wasn't a curious person. If I was like all of the other looks maxing / self-improvement creators, I would probably sit here think, how can I make the most money, and then just make a video that would make me the most money. But instead, I try the most weird methods that I think of that pop into my head because I'm a curious person, and being curious has made my life better, has made me more intelligent, and has given me a lot more resources to make videos like this, and also thinking of ways to actually look better. And I understand that tip doesn't sound very practical, but tip number 7 is extremely practical, and it's literally a step-by-step thing you should do, and that's going to be sleep. So anything that has to do with your looks, you can tie sleep to it. Your hair, your skin, your eyes, your height, every single thing that determines the way you look all comes back to the way that you sleep at the end of the day. And it's so annoying to me that our school systems, parent figures, people who we trust don't talk about sleep more often, because it is a direct correlation with how happy you're going to be throughout the day, the things you get done, your quality of life. So your existence as a human being is better when you get better sleep. Now, if you don't care about that, like I said, everything when it comes to the way you look is also important when it comes to sleep. What I did that absolutely changed my life, like genuinely changed my life, is getting a sleep mask, and then number 2, getting some $20 earplugs from Amazon. This, I kid you not, made my quality of life, I would say, at least 30% better. Every morning when I wake up, I look better, I feel better, I think better, everything because of these 2 things. Now the question is why? When people think of sleep, a lot of times they think, oh, well, if I just lay down in my bed, I'll fall asleep easy. It's not that hard. Falling asleep and staying asleep and also getting high quality sleep are 3 different things. And when you cancel out noise as well as block out light, that really increases your quality of sleep, meaning that if I get 8 hours of sleep with my earplugs and my sleep mask, my sleep is going to be better than your 8 hours of sleep. Like if we're treating this like a competition, I'm literally beating you down right now with my sleep. And I don't want to beat you down. I want to be your friend. That's exactly why I'm telling you, you should get earplugs and a sleep mask. I honestly couldn't imagine a life where I don't have those, and it sounds like I'm exaggerating. It's not. I notice myself look better. My face is less bloated. It's like just insane. Speaking of sleep, in tip number 8, I want to talk about something that has ruined many people's lives, and that sounds very harsh, but it's honestly the truth. And what I wanted to talk about was the caffeine crisis. That's right, caffeine, this thing right here, is one of the biggest addictions in the world that people don't talk about enough. But how can you use it for good? Well, there's a few things you need to know. Number 1, if you want to go throughout the day and be less hungry, caffeine suppresses your appetite unlike anything else. So if you want to lose weight, lose fat, get shredded abs, this is going to help you a lot. That being said, caffeine is one of the worst things when it comes to your sleep. This will ruin sleep worse than almost anything else, which is why you need to use it wisely. And when I say that, what it means is you need to be drinking this far before you plan on sleeping. So I would say give it at least 6 to 12 hours before you go to sleep. Otherwise, it will affect your sleep. And if you really didn't take the last thing I said serious, I'm telling you, you should. Sleep is the most important thing. So don't abuse this. Use it the right way and know your limits. I only drink this 70 milligram thing because anything over like 100, I start crashing out. It's bad. Speaking of crashing out, let's talk about the most important tip of this entire video and probably the most important thing you're going to see in a long time from now. Confidence is key. I know so many people who are going to see this part of the video and comment saying something about how I'm coping or I'm just trying to make people feel good about themselves. No, I'm being very serious. Confidence in life will bring you so much farther than anything else. And the reason I say this is because whatever your motive is, if your motive is to get girls, to make money, to make more friends, to have a better quality of life, to not be self-conscious, it all comes back to confidence. And the way to build confidence is not by looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself all of these things about yourself, like I'm good enough, all da 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 da. You don't have to do that. Confidence comes from action. So every single day, you need to wake up with a list of intentions in your mind. You should not be doing anything that's wasting time or unintentional. Every single thing that you do should be leading up towards building your confidence. Watching videos like this, going to the gym, learning skills, being intelligent. This is what truly brings you confidence. So if you wake up every single day focusing on the things that you can control and accepting the things that you cannot control, you will become the best version of yourself. And in my opinion, the person you see in the mirror at the end of every day, if you're not happy with that, what does any of this that I talked about matter? It doesn't. Glowing up is about more than just being attractive. It's about being the person that you were meant to be.